there, I'm Cherie.
And I'm Chris, and we're known online as Technomadia.
And what you're about to watch is one of our live video chats. This is an archive of a live broadcast that was interactive with some of our viewers.
So this is not a produced thing. We don't use microphones, we don't do editing, we don't have a script in advance. So if you're looking for that, change the channel.
But what we do is every month is we pick a topic, we talk on about it, and we take questions. And it's a really fun way. If you'd like to join one of our future live video chats, you can do so. Go check it out at technomadia.com/video. And also check out the other videos in this playlist. We have a whole bunch of other topics that we've covered over the years.
Yeah,
so who are we?
Chris and Cherie, Technomadia.
And we've been on the road since 2006, traveling full-time via RV, presently in a vintage bus conversion, and we work remotely as we go. And we just like sharing a little slice of our lives. So here we go.
Thanks.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Cherie.
And I'm Chris.
And this little squirmy one is Kiki.
Kiki, Kikinator, Potato Head, Captain Underfoot, and Master of all she surveys.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And the topic of tonight's video chat is cats and RVing.
RVing with cats.
Or as the cat would say, RVing with humans. That's the more important thing. If you know cats, then you know that we are their servants. And I'm going to let her go because she doesn't really like being held like this. So.
Well, she does until she doesn't, because she's a cat.
That's a cat. So that's Kiki.
Yes. So if you're watching this on July 21st, you're watching this live, and this is going to be interactive for you. And if not, you're watching an archive, you'll be able to catch us live in future chats. Not all of them are about cats, but we've been living on the road for over 10 years now.
Since 2006. And when I first met Chris, so he started solo and I joined. No, I had a cat. I have always had a cat. I love cats. I love animals in general, but I love cats. and
well, I've always been a cat person too. I've actually grew up as cat allergic though, so I've always been very wary of cats. I've lived with one or two before, but only special cats can work with me, so I've always been a little cautious.
So I had a cat named Alma, and she was probably about 5 years old about the time when I met Chris. And we were moving into his very super small travel trailer. He started in a 16-foot tab teardrop clamshell model, if you're familiar with those, super tiny. And it was going to be the two of us living in it, and trying to introduce a cat to that situation just seemed really absurd. I mean, it's already absurd enough.
There wasn't a bathroom for humans, so there was no space for a litter box either.
And not to mention, my cat Alma, she was mostly an outdoor cat who came indoors a little bit during the day. She was used to free roaming and just roaming the neighborhood and just having a good old time. And that's not really compatible on the road. And we'll talk more about that later as to, what some of the risks are with that. So I had to make the very hard decision, Chris or Alma. Alma almost won, I want to let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alma was a pretty cool cat, I have to say.
Yes. Fortunately, my ex and I had her together, and he was very willing to take her and continue.
I think he would have insisted otherwise.
Pretty much.
So you would have had to fight to take Alma.
So
it would have been a custody battle. It worked out best for everyone, and Alma is doing wonderfully.
Yep, she's still with us these days, and with the ex, and we still get reports on her, and happy, and it was a great decision. Of course, I miss her, but we always left a place in our hearts for having the right cat find us on the road. Not in that little tab, but as we got larger RVs.
And we'd actually had several little campground cats, little feral cats would audition us. We had a few, we'd lure them in with food. We kept cat food on hand just in case. And we had a couple cats visit us, but none of them quite clicked. That we never had that kind of magic spark until
Kiki.
So
this was at our second year on the road. We had moved into the Oliver, which is our super huge 17-foot trailer. And
it did have space for both a human and cat litter box.
I had all the amenities. And we had shown up at our friend's ranch in Oregon, and they had just found 3 little kittens of 1 week old in their chicken coop.
Being raised by the chickens, no parents in sight, and chickens can't really nurse so well, so they had to adopt these kittens, and we're bottle feeding them at this ranch.
So I sit down for dinner, and all 3 kittens climb up on me, and I'm just going gaga. I hadn't had cats in so long.
Yes.
And
super
basically our friend said, "Do you want a kitten?" And we're like, we're actually at a place in our lives, and we looked at each other, and we kind of played with all 3, and Kiki just kept. And she was already named Kiki by the kids who were raising her.
Named after Kiki's Delivery Service, the amazing Miyazaki animated movie.
And we just kept watching how they played. And what we liked about Kiki is she had this sense of inquisitiveness, but she had a little bit of hesitation. And we felt that'd be important on the road. It's important on the road.
Yeah, she was very adaptable, but she was not afraid of things, but she was not too headstrong. It was like she had just that great balance vibe, particularly for a kitten.
Yeah, and her siblings would always just like right into whatever they're doing, and she'd kind of sit back and watch, make sure it's okay, and then she'd be right in there. And we were like, yeah, that's kind of probably a good trait. And so
we auditioned her.
So yeah, the people who were raising her, they let us take her on the road for a week trial. We were going up from Oregon up to Seattle. I was teaching a class at the time in my software developer days, and we were happy to come back that way anyway. And she's starting to knock things off tables. And they said if it doesn't work out, you can we'll take her back, or with Chris's allergy was the other.
So that was the other thing. Is like, can I sleep with a cat sitting on my face and not puff up? And Kiki and I had a talk, and we agreed that we were not going to have any issues. And I have had 0 allergy issues with her.
And we have now had her, it'll be 8 years this October that she's been with us, and she has been raised completely on the road. And we just...
That tiny.
Yeah, she was so super
this
cute.
big.
She's still super cute.
That's why we had to move into a bigger bus, mostly was because we had a bigger cat.
She kept growing. They didn't tell us that they thought the dad was this huge Maine Coon
cat.
Bengal barn cat that was on the ranch. And so we didn't know we were actually getting an 18-pound cat. But she was cute when she was tiny. And we thought that would fit in our RV. Anyway, so the first topic was why do cats make good travel companions over, say, like a dog?
Well, it's obvious to start with that cats
cats.
rule, dogs drool. Everyone knows that, and cats are by far the superior animal.
We love dogs. We actually love dogs.
Well, of course, I mean...
But there are trade-offs when you're traveling with them.
Aside from the drool, no, but and there's so many awesome things about cats. So we're only going to focus about cats tonight. We'll probably do a joint video someday with a friend of ours who some of our dog friends, but tonight it's all about cats. So we're going to just...
Yes. Some of this does apply to other animal types, but anyway, so some reasons that cats make really great RVing companions as opposed, because we traveled with a lot of our friends with dogs. Number one, they don't bark. So, I mean, it's so common that a dog is in an RV. It's new to them. They're new to the campground. The owners go off for a hike or out exploring, and the dog is just freaked out and barking all the time. And it's
not all dogs do this.
No, not all. But I feel so bad for them when I encounter that.
Yeah, there are so many, and or just dogs who are just bark at anything that moves. And
cats don't do that.
Cats don't do that. Hounds maybe, but not bark.
Other thing I like about cats is when they decide they want to go for a walk, it's not for them to use the restroom. It's because they want to go for a walk. They use litter boxes, and we're not always out walking our dog.
You don't have to get to do 3 or 4 or 5 walks a day. You don't have to do the first thing in the morning. You don't have to roll out of bed, get dressed, and immediately go for a walk. Which is some days nice, but it's other days it's like the last thing you want to do first thing in the morning.
Or it's not a campground that's conducive to dog walking, or dog parks are great places for them to go use the restroom.
Yeah,
and then cats can be left alone for a much longer period of time because they're pretty self-sufficient with their litter box. You leave food out for them. We have a robotic feeder for Kiki because she can't free feed because she does free feed.
But yeah, so when we're out and about with dog friends of ours and they're constantly looking at their watches and like, okay, well, we've got another hour and then we've got to start heading back.
Because the dog's crossing its legs.
Yeah, we can't do this hike. We have to do this other shorter hike. Or, we want to do that restaurant, but now that's not going to work because, and it becomes this constant paying attention to a clock of like, how long can you be away from the dog? Cats, we're like, hey, we're not going to be back until, actually, we've spontaneously decided to spend the night out someplace if we're someplace where it makes sense. We're like, we don't have to be back tonight to walk the dog. We can get back in the morning and sleep on a couch here and not have to worry about getting home after a party or something. Great. Wonderful. Love that about cats.
Cats are sometimes exempt from campground rules. Some campgrounds will consider them pets. Sometimes their pet rules are specifically designed for dogs. And other times they just kind of like, if there's an extra fee, there's like, it's just a cat.
Yeah.
And we have actually been exempted from when they might charge for dogs, but they don't charge for cats.
Sometimes
not always true.
Yeah, but
cats also tend to be pretty darn adaptable. That doesn't say dogs aren't.
And it's not all cats and not all dogs, but in general, cats tend to be very adaptable animals.
And Kiki will attest to this. Just cats are more awesome.
Absolutely.
She made me say that. Okay. All right. So if there's 2 different scenarios. You either have a cat that you want to take on the road, or you get a cat in the course of your travels.
Yes.
I haven't been through transitioning a cat to be on the road, so we can't speak from experience.
We've talked to quite a few people who have, and cats have so much personality. It all depends on the cat, and probably also a lot on the cat owner, of how you make that transition.
And so just some general tips that we picked up is before you're hitting the road is make sure you're also preparing your cat for hitting the road.
Don't spring it on them. It's like the first thing you're doing is like, hi, you're in this big giant cat carrier bouncing down the road. Everything's all new and sudden and strapped into a harness and freaking out. It's like, start with harnesses and leashes probably weeks and months before you're actually going to take them on the road.
And start slowly. Don't expect your cat to immediately just love a leash or a harness. Just put it on them, let them do the wrestling around with it and be upset with you, and then take it off. And then put it on for a longer time and just kind of ramp up to it. Kiki adapted immediately, but she was 7 weeks old, and she pretty much just knows nothing but leashes.
And we basically consider, instead of a collar, she wears her harness basically full time, 24/7. It's got her ID tag on it, and that's her clothes. And if she steps outside and she's not wearing it, she will pause and she'll be like, "Hey, I'm missing my harness." She's a little bit comfortable without a leash, but she's like feels naked without her harness, which is exactly how we wanted to raise her.
Mm-hmm. Drive them around. If you don't have your RV yet, at least get them out in your vehicle.
Not just trips to the vet.
Yeah. So many people complain about, oh, my pet will never like being in motion. Every time I put them in the car, they freak out. Well, usually it's because the only experience a dog or a cat has with being in a car is going to the vet. So get them out for other adventures. Take them places. Just take them for a ride. Get them used to being in motion without it being to go to a stressful experience. And new cats, just leash train them right away. Get them right used to it.
And they will know nothing else. They might decide that they like not being on a leash. We discovered that, in Kiki's case, she knows how to work her leash very, very well. She will get tangled when she wants attention. She can go forever without being tangled if she's, having fun on her own. But suddenly we'll see chairs being dragged back and forth out front our window and hearing some howls. And it's like, oh, she wants attention. She wants to be moved. She wants something.
She wants someone to come play with her. Yes. All right, so cats in campgrounds. Let's start there next. Usually leashes are always required for all pets, including cats. Sometimes the rules specifically state it. Even if they don't, I don't recommend letting your cat free roam.
We know a few people who do, and you're taking a lot of risks, and there's so much uncertainty that comes with this, and really only if you know your pet.
Even so,
yeah.
I have heard so many sad stories of someone, they have a cat that was used to being outdoors when they lived in a sticks and bricks house. Mm-hmm. They get to their campgrounds and they're doing well. The cat's staying near the RV, staying within visual range and coming to you when called. And
something spooks it.
It spooks it, they run away, and then it comes checkout day and you can't extend your reservation because the next site is full or something like that.
Or you have to be someplace and you don't know what happened, or there's a coyotes at night, and it's a scary world out there for cats in places they don't know.
So I don't recommend letting your cat free roam, even if you think they might be comfortable. It's just too much risk. There's predators you might not know about. They don't know how to handle. If you don't if they can't climb trees or used to the local vegetation, they don't know the smells to get back to the RV.
They don't know what stings, what bites. Actually, Kiki has had a rattlesnake bite while on a leash, even. Yeah. So there's dangers out there. Sometimes if we're in a place that's kind of wide open and it's got good visuals, we will do visual leash. Where
she'll walk with us.
She'll walk with us off her leash, or we'll sit out in a chair and just watch her and let her have a little bit of more free roaming than she can get on a leash, but she's never out of eyesight. We're never looking away. Just so that way she can't suddenly be like, where'd she go? She's climbed a bush or something.
Right. The other thing we did is when she does get out on her own, and the few times that she does kind of just slip out the door without us noticing, is we don't reprimand her, we don't freak out, because we don't want her running away from us or feeling like she's done something bad.
Like she's going to get in trouble.
And we don't want her hiding from us. So we've always just we just kind of treat it normal, even though I'm freaking out inside.
There you are. Here's a treat. Hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah, and sure enough, every time she's come out, she doesn't go far, and she always comes when we call her.
And now, if you do have some concerns, you can actually get a little locator collar that will give you basically homing beacon pinging and stuff. And particularly if you have a cat that is prone to running away or prone to going on long adventures, that can be a really good safety thing to look into.
So some of the rules in campgrounds we do encounter pet rules on the road. There are some campgrounds that just allow no pets whatsoever. They're very rare. There's some that have restrictions, only 2 pets allowed. Some consider cats pets, some don't.
And sometimes if you think the rules are unfair and you've got an indoor cat that people aren't going to see, you can a lot of cats you can get away with just, oh yeah, I don't have a pet. And we know people who do that.
As long as they're not going the window.
Yes.
Some campgrounds that we've encountered have pet loops, so specific areas where pets are allowed, and then other pets that are pet free. And all the ones we've encountered so far include cats in that. So the cats have to be in the pet loop, which then puts more dogs around her who then get agitated because there's a cat in the campground.
Yeah, she doesn't care about dogs, but dogs are like cat, cat, cat.
So then we have more dogs barking around us because we now have yeah, we do, don't we, Kiki?
Yes.
And then they're all around us barking, and it's even more unpleasant.
The whole pet loop policy is kind of bizarre.
Silly.
Shouldn't apply to cats. Should not.
I don't think there should. Well, I don't know. Anyway, something new that we've encountered in New York State, we're staying in a lot of their state parks right now as we're traveling around the Northeast, is all their campgrounds require a rabies certificate be presented at check-in. It's the first time we've ever encountered that.
They want her papers and ID. They don't want ours. They was like, oh, yeah, you're whoever, whatever.
So everyone we checked into, so always carry your rabies vaccinations with you. You might need it to board last minute. Yeah. If you go traveling internationally, you might need that as well. And then Kiki wants you to know, and wants all you cats watching to know, is make sure your humans pick camp spots with good cat things to do.
Yes.
Don't pick the one with big wide open areas. Cats like bushes and rocks to look at things. That's where the critters hide.
Yes, and she is upset. Like, for her, a bush is like HGTV. We can go put her out on a leash, out on the porch, clip her to something, and she'll stare at a bush for 3 or 4 hours straight and is the happiest cat in the world. Okay, that's good. We sit in our office and she sits in hers and stares at a bush.
So we do try to not encourage her to kill local animals if we can. It doesn't work so well all the time, but oh well. All right, so cats in the RV. First question that always comes up is, where do you put the litter box?
Litterboxes are, they do take up space.
They do smell.
And every cat has their own different relationship to a litter box. Because we've changed up houses and changed up things so much, Kiki's very, very adaptable. In our first RV, we had the litter box in the bathroom. It basically took the floor of the bathroom up.
And a lot of people do that. They'll use their shower. Be very careful with that. Make sure you put something to block the drain so the litter doesn't fall into it.
Because litter will get kicked around. It's inevitable.
It clumps, and then it's probably not going to like fall out of your black tank or your gray tank, and you're going to eventually have no gray tank space if you've got a lot of cat litter in it.
Yes. And but yeah, so that is one of the places people put litter boxes, is put it in the shower, and then you have to move it out of the way to take a shower. We know people who kind of turn their RV shower into a permanent litter box chamber, and they always just use campground showers. We think that's way too big of a compromise because we like to use our showers.
When we first got our motorhome, the space underneath the driver's seat is pretty much unusable.
Because the seat can't turn around.
So we first put her litter box under there, which meant when we were first coming in the RV, we had the nice aroma of Kiki's litter box.
And less the aroma, it was more of that's the first thing you see when you come in the RV is the litter box sitting there. And we'd hang a curtain in front of it and stuff like that, but it was still not ideal. And then all the litter would be getting kicked around into the brakes and accelerator cables and all, down into the mechanicals of the RV, which was not a good thing.
And then the other option is finding unique ways to reconvert something in your RV to a litter box chamber. When we put in our our propane hydronic system last summer, that took away needing our hot water heater, because that took over that functionality, and we were able to turn in, we had a cabinet in the RV where that sat, we were able to turn that into her litter box chamber. We've heard other people converting like underneath the stairs in their motorhome if they have space there, cabinets. Cutting
a hole in the floor and having kind of a litter box down in one of the basement bays. Getting the litter box out of sight does wonders for just livability of an RV, because then the cat takes care of things. Make sure you don't forget about changing the litter box too long. Make
Out
sure
of
the
sight,
litter,
out of mind sometimes
make sure
is
the
a
litter
bad
box
thing.
has good ventilation. When we designed our cat bathroom, we put its own dedicated roof chimney. So in general, we don't smell anything. So we have to make sure we actually double check things every so often.
It's been a couple days. We should do it.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, litter box definitely a concern. Hidey places. Cats like to seek hidey places, especially if they are spooked with something. So make sure you know where the places are your cat can fit. Sometimes RV furniture is funky like that.
Has secret little compartments up underneath the sofa and stuff like that where cats can get. And never, ever, ever activate your slides to extend or retract unless you know where all your pets are, because we've heard some horror stories and some just really close call scares of the hidey place being someplace somebody never even considered, and it is a place that gets squish. And no, bad idea.
So yeah, always locate the cats before packing up and know where they are when you're doing the slides. Cat scratching posts, make sure you have plenty of those so they don't go after the RV furniture. That works.
We've had a tip from, because cats can often go after RV balances. It's kind of this it feels like a cat scratching post sometimes. We've had friends, hi Nina and Paul, who have put aluminum foil on the places where their cats were most intent on scratching, and that discouraged them, and they learned those are not good balances, so that's a good tip.
And make sure there's cat play areas. We've had people who have, if their cat likes being outdoors, they might build some sort of cage that attaches to a window, and around it you'll see it sometimes in campgrounds, and then they just open the screen and the cat can go outside and look at birds and pretend like it's an outdoor cat. We've had people create enclosures that they can set up on their porch.
And there's little cat playpens for outdoors too, if you don't want to do a clipped leash and stuff.
Yep. Kiki, we keep her leash on a carabiner, big carabiner, oversized one, and we can clip her to things. And as long as we feel safe about an area, we're not seeing other stray animals or things like that around, we'll let her outside a little bit as long as she's in visual and we can see her while we're working at our desks and stuff like that.
And so she'll often sit right in front of the RV with the open front door, and she'll welcome guests. She makes more friends in campgrounds than we do. People, she'll walk out in the street and greet them, and we'll be like, we hear somebody talking. Hey, kitty. Oh, Kiki's made another friend.
And nap nooks. Cats need nap nooks. They like multiple places to go about, so make sure you've got a couch cleared off or a front seat or something like that for them to crawl up in. All right, so while the RV is in motion, because their house is moved now, first, we get asked all the time, if you have a towable RV, like a trailer or a fifth wheel, people ask, can I leave the cat in the trailer? I challenge you, if you're considering this, you ride in the trailer or fifth wheel while underway, and then you tell me if that's a good idea.
Most trailers are not pleasant places to take a nap while they're going down the road. They're not made for being comfortable.
There's a lot of sounds and a lot of motion. Things can fall. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if that's the only way your cat's going to be comfortable, if they're just spaz out going into the front cab of the truck, or it's, we used to do that when we had the trailer. We'd have to carry Kiki in. It might be bad weather or whatnot, and carry her into the truck to tow, and
she got very comfortable in the truck and in the Jeep and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's probably not a good idea leaving there. Now, if you have a motorhome, then the cat's in heaven. They got their whole house with them, but it's now rumbling and shaking. So depending on the cat, how freaked out they might be, or how it's just another day with rumbles and shakes.
Right. We're also asked all the time if you should put them in a cat carrier while underway. And there's good reasons to consider that. If there is an accident or something like that, then the cat is contained and you just one thing you can grab, where it's at. Kiki hates being in a carrier. That's going to be more stressful for her. And so we let her free roam in the RV while we're underway. She usually either sits right here on this couch curled up, or she's in my lap curled up.
Cherie usually has Kiki acting as a laptop stand with her laptop sitting on top of the cat sitting on top of Cherie, and I'm just driving and very amused looking over at how cute they look as a big stack over there.
She's a really good traveler. But if your cat is just roaming, spazzing out, putting them in a cat carrier may make a lot of sense, and it is probably a safer thing, but we look at what's going to make everyone happy on it.
And you do need to do a little training of the driver is off limits while underway. So it took a little while of having Cherie be there to train Kiki. It's like, my lap is good anytime except when I'm in the driver's seat, and now she knows. She doesn't even try.
Yep. So if I'm driving Kiki, sometimes because she's so used to sitting on my lap when we're underway, do you have to say, no, No, not my lap. Some people drive with their cats on their laps. You know, we did. Our biggest concern, especially when she was a kitten, was her getting underneath the gas pedal or brake pedal, and so we intentionally just trained her to stay away from driver.
Yes.
While underway.
And then car sickness. So they used to say Kiki because like to get her icks on Route 66 because we saw a sign, Route 66, get your kicks, and she threw up that immediate instant while we're doing these little twisty back roads, and we love the twisty back roads, and she's not so fond of them.
Yeah, so back roads she does get a little car sick, and I kind of do sometimes too. But she does more often. But she's mostly okay, especially if we're sticking to, I mean, if we're doing hilly back mountain roads and the bus is swerving like this, then yeah, we just anticipate for it. We have a roll of paper towels ready to go.
It's pretty rare, and normally if we can get ahead of the curve and be like, okay, if she's sitting somewhere perched high where there's more rocking back and forth, get her into Sherie's lap or down on the floor, we can usually head it off before she starts to get sick.
If we know that we're going to be doing really twisty roads, we might just sprinkle a little bit of ginger in her food in the morning.
Or we'll keep her from having breakfast
at all, but that doesn't go over so well.
Yeah, but once she's underway, she's fine. So we'll hold back on the breakfast so there's less to come up. But again, it's a pretty rare thing, only a few times a year. But just be ready for it. You know, animals get car sick, people do too. All
right, so there's going to become times when you're going to need to leave your pet behind.
Why would you ever do that?
We sit here all day long with Kiki to keep her company.
Yes, some days you want to leave your pet behind.
You want to go touring. Cats don't really like, touring the Grand Canyon. All she has, but or you might need to travel away from your RV. So number one question that we get on this is, how can I remote monitor, especially the temperature of the RV, to make sure that your pet isn't overheating or freezing to death?
And that is it can be a tricky thing. There are more and more things coming to market that will let you monitor, but a lot of them assume that you have AC power, not necessarily plugged into 12 volt on an RV, so you'd have to leave your inverter on, or they depend on a Wi-Fi network and a constant internet connection, which you might not always have.
Or they come with a cellular data plan that you have to pay for that might be on a network that doesn't cover you in the places you go.
So we did experiment with one thing called the SimPal, SIMPAL, for a while that would send you a text message every time the temperature went over a certain threshold, and it was a little awkward, but it did work. Normally what we do is we actually have our little indoor-outdoor weather station here, and we use an app called Presence for various iPhones and Android devices. I think they support now, but there's other remote camera apps, and we can just leave some of our spare older iPhones around on a tripod pointing at the temperature monitor, and we can just remote in and check it. It's kind of a little bit of a hokey thing, but we can turn the camera. It's also our security camera, so it'll give us alerts and stuff. Yeah. There are other fancier things out there that can do temperature monitoring.
Canary is another one that's out that people are using, and there's others. We are kind of monitoring it because we are looking for the ideal solution.
But the number one thing we do, though, is we don't push it. Is we always check the weather forecast. If we're going to be away from our RV during the day when there's a chance of it getting hot or a chance of storms, we A, will leave the air conditioner on, or B, if we will make sure that we have plenty of opportunity to plan our day to come back and check if we need to, or C, we'll just make alternate arrangements so that we won't, because you can get things, even a big RV can get very hot when parked in the sun on asphalt on even what seems like a relatively cool day. So know how your RV heats up. Spend a day
without the AC on,
without AC and stuff yourself, just to get a sense for it, like how hot does this get. Don't let your pet be the one who has to experiment on how your RV heats up in the sun. Right.
We've only really had one issue, and that was when we were building our lithium-ion battery bank 5 years ago. We were in Phoenix in the summer. It was like 105 out, and we left the generator running in the parking lot of the shop.
Running the air conditioner
for Kiki, and we would just go out every 15 minutes or so and just check on it.
And at one point the generator
had overheated and she was inside, and it only took a couple minutes for it to get really hot, and Kiki was sweating.
So it was 110 degrees outside. So yeah, that was our one big heat scare.
Yeah. We ditched our project that we're doing there. We found the closest RV park with hookup and went there and just plugged in, and then we went back to our building our battery bank. Yes. And our battery bank is designed to run an air conditioner for 2 to 2.5 hours off a battery.
And that was primarily intended for the cat. So like we can go do our errands, do our shopping, go to a mall or go to a restaurant or
en route,
and we can leave our air conditioner running without needing a generator, without needing to leave the bus all still vibrating and loud, and our batteries can run the air conditioner long enough for us to do our errands and keep Kiki cool, which is a very worthwhile upgrade.
Yeah. And our Victron color control display, if you might have seen some of our recent videos we just put on YouTube with some examples of that, we can remote into it on our iPhones and check the status of the battery so we can know, okay, all right, we should be getting back.
Yeah. And or if the battery is running low, I can start the generator remotely as well.
Mm-hmm. So those are some ways we deal with it. If you're planning to do en route stopping and on really inclement weather days and you don't have that sort of technology, just really consider what you're putting your pet through and if it's worthwhile. Sometimes just find the local RV park with hookups and then drive in to do the touring that you want to do.
But in most cases also, RVs are a lot better than cars, but just really don't put too much heat on him or too much cold.
Yep. And then the other issue that we run into is we do like to do non-RV travels without the cat. Take our little vacation. We go on cruises and you take the train around the country. It's finding a pet sitter for her. And
for short term, you can almost always find a pet sitter in a campground.
If you're in a camp, so we've done where like we might be camping with friends, getting a long-term spot for a month, and we might just have someone come in and check in on her and or take her for walks and hang out with her. We've also just had to find cat sitters where we put them in their homes, and then of course there's boarding options across the way. So there are ways to do it. It is difficult. It is a challenge. I want to talk about festivals, going to music festivals, things like Burning Man, other sorts of places you go. They usually have this rule. We call it leave the pets at home. Well, what if your home is with you and your pet's coming with you? And we've challenged a few festivals on this, and we've gotten some exemptions.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, we will leave our pet at home, but our home is coming to your festival. How are you going to deal with that? And yes, we've gotten the okay. We've also gotten
smaller
and we've also gotten the no, and that we also know people who are just like, don't ask, don't tell. It's if you've got a pet that can be comfortably indoors, which a lot of cats can. Once you're through the gate of the festival, nobody cares. They're really only concerned about dogs that will bark and cause disturbance. Or
bite. It's a liability issue with their insurance for the event insurance about dogs biting other people.
And they just have the blanket no pet rule. So if you're willing to be a little bit of a scofflaw, then bring your cat in.
Or you need to find a pet sitter in the area to do that. And we've used everything from pet sitter. There's all sorts of pet sitter apps and services that you can go hire someone. We usually network if we can to find someone. Blog readers have always volunteered. If you see us if you'd like to take Kiki on, we'd love having pet sitters for her across the country. Definitely helps. Okay. We have the last section. We're going to talk about pet care and veterinary care. But before I do that, I just want to say this is a good time to start queuing up any questions you have. That way, David and Mara can get them put in this shared document that we have going, and we can get right into your questions. So go ahead and feel free to start asking those if you have them. They can be about pets. They can be about anything RVing or nomadic, or Kiki will be happy to answer your questions.
She'll take questions too. Now, pet healthcare. We wish humans had it so good.
Yes. So we use Banfield, which is the veterinary clinic that is in most PetSmarts in major cities across the country.
And it is universal health care for pets. They have centralized medical records, one plan, and then Kiki's covered across the country with unlimited office visits, discounts for major stuff, and it's just super easy and convenient. I keep trying to sign us up as monkeys, and they won't let us in. But it's just like the way healthcare should be. Just show up and go.
What I love about Banfield is they have centralized medical records. So any Banfield we show up to, we can make an appointment for her at. They'll just transfer her records in from the last clinic. They have them there. And she can see, so if she's got anything continuing care on, or she needs like a vaccine update or booster or something like that, they have all her records and they can continue the care on with her.
And things are just covered. So it's like, hey, you need this and this. There you go. Here's your next shot. Don't have to think about it.
Dental cleanings and things like that. She had one dental cleaning last summer. So it's really convenient for travel, and instead of having to seek out vets in the area
and then go through that whole becoming a new patient thing over and over and over again. And you occasionally have to do that for emergency vet stuff where there's no Banfield close by, and so it's always when you go to a campground stuff, keep your eyes peeled
for where the pet hospitals are and things like that.
Be.
We lucked out when Kiki got bit by a rattlesnake. We were in Colorado, camped at a friend's property up on a mountain where there's no cell signal. always happens where there's no cell signal, right? So we just got in the truck. It was in our trailer days, and we just screamed down the mountain, just hoping. And we called our host on the way as soon as we got cell signal and let her know. And she worked in town, and she says, "Come to my office. Across the street is the veterinary vet clinic for the college, and."
University of Colorado is like the best veterinarians in the state of Colorado, and training there. It's like,
I will call ahead and I'll arrange everything.
They were waiting for us. We just like barrel into the parking lot and got amazing emergency care. So
and by the way, cats are pretty resilient to rattlesnake bites. We couldn't find this on the internet without connection to know, but they do pretty well.
It was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
It was terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
So that pretty much right. Oh, and then I guess the other thing I should add with pet care is, I already mentioned carrying your rabies vaccination for some campgrounds that might request it, or boarding situations. But if you are planning to cross international borders, is technically you are supposed to, within a few days of doing that border crossing, is to get a pet international certificate done. And you'll need your records for that for the vet to certify, and you can usually do that near the border. We've only had to do it once when we moved over to the Virgin Islands and we took her with us. The airline told us it was required. It was not.
They never checked. Yes.
We have heard a lot of people going into Canada and Mexico who never had them check, but you probably should have it just in case.
Or plan on, you might have to go back for it if you do run across somebody who does check.
I think that was a lot of content.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cats are complicated, but cats are so awesome.
All right. Chris is going to get the wine.
I'm going to get the wine open. Because what is the bottle of wine tonight? It's profound. This is what we're going to be drinking from South Wind Vineyard, which is a harvest host we did in New Jersey, which was an absolutely amazing, magical place. I will open this up.
All right, I am waiting for my document here to refresh to see if there's any questions. All right, yep, there are questions.
And Kiki, you might give her a treat too.
Yes. So if you do appreciate these live chats, they are our gift to you. We love doing them and sharing little slices of what we've learned on our years on the road, and hopefully they help you. We do appreciate your appreciation showing back on that, and you can do that by leaving comments and letting us know you appreciated this. Facebook, YouTube, the blog, comments on this live video chat. We'll read them, and they do keep us inspired to come back month after month with a new topic and do them.
And you can buy us a bottle of wine or buy Kiki cat treats.
Yes, we don't ever expect the monetary contributions, but they sure do delight us, bring big smiles to our face, and they give us a lot of extra inspiration to keep doing this, because it tells us you really do appreciate us and doing these chats, and the time that goes into these. We usually spend, it takes about 10 hours of time to coordinate one of these. To put the article, to write the outline, to coordinate everything, to put this together, and then create the archive and get it uploaded. And we probably burn through 5 to 7 gigabytes of data doing so. So there's a lot that goes into these. And we definitely do appreciate those contributions that help offset some of those costs and treat us to something special like a nice bottle of wine. Or Kiki for her cat treats. There is a special option on there for Kiki cat treats. You can do that at the bottom of every page of technomadia.com. Oh, you're going to give her catnip. She's sleeping. The bottom of every page of technomadia.com is a leave a tip button. You'll find it in the bottom right hand corner, and you can just leave a little tip there. We love it.
Kiki's got catnip.
All right, we're gonna.
Cherie's got Cherie-nip.
Cherie-nip.
And here we go. Cheers. Here's to cats. May they always rule, queens.
All hail the cat.
Yes.
Toasting you if you're joining us for a beverage.
Cheers.
Okay. Ira would like to know, what feeder do we use? I knew someone was going to ask. I believe it's by PetMate or something like that. And we picked one that was battery operated so that we didn't have to worry about it being tied into the bus's electrical system, because it was really shaky in the beginning.
Well, and also, it's just battery is more reliable. We didn't want to have to leave an inverter on just for the cat to get fed. Didn't have to have the time keep getting reset and stuff like that. So we've got an AC, a DC powered battery. Takes 4 D cells, I believe, 3 D cells. And the batteries last 3 or 4, 5, 6 months. They last a really long time. Robot feeder, and it just drops food down at certain points of the day. We've got her having 2 meals from the robot feeder, and then 1 we give her wet food during the middle of the day. And the robot feeder's got one big problem, and Kiki loves this problem. It's if you pull it and then drop it, it's like playing slot machines. And you keep doing this enough, and eventually you get a jackpot, and it just triggers, and food drops out. It's basically the next meal starts to leak through. And if we have to keep weights on top of the feeder, otherwise she basically goes to Las Vegas and plays casino games, and will sit there for hours just playing, and it's very cute and adorable, and I think we've got a video up on YouTube of her doing that.
I don't know I think it might be on her Facebook page.
Yeah, but it's adorable, and we can entertain friends when they come over and say, hey, you want to watch the cat play jackpot?
But if you're curious about the specific model, if you go to technomadia.com/RV gear, it is listed, I think, in the household section. You can find the link on Amazon for it if you're interested in that one.
So someday I'd love to get her one that we can control over the internet, and so we can give her a little bonus food if we don't.
She doesn't need bonus food.
Yeah, but it'd be fun.
She's got you trained.
I know. I want internet cat feeding.
Okay. Parker would like to know, how do you find out about the rules for pet rules about how before you get there? Usually they're on the website. Like when I'm booking, we stay in a lot of state parks, so when I'm booking a website, it usually says right in there, or it says, when on Reserve America, you can search by allows pets for and they usually have a little dog sign, dog signs, showing you which ones are eligible for pets to stay at. And then you can always call if it's a private campground and they don't list, you can always call and ask. I go by the philosophy, if it's not clearly on their website, then there are no rules, right? But it doesn't always say that. Ramon asks, what about toilet training a cat? I hear that's a thing. Yes, we've heard it's a thing too.
Yeah, no, it has been done. We actually, I researched a little bit of it way back when, because when when that small trailer, the litter box was basically took up the entire floor of the bathroom. So it was like, can we train her to use the toilet? It's a long process to do. I've never heard of anybody in an RV who has toilet trained their cats, but go for it. If you figure it out, go for it.
Okay. You do keep the questions coming if you have them. What do you use to remote start the generator? It's integrated into our Victron.
Yeah, so we have a Victron CCGX. It's the color control panel that controls our inverter.
By Victron as well?
Which is, controls the inverter, but then the control panel knows what the state of the battery is and everything else, and has a relay on the back, and there's a circuit you can build. I built it myself for how to interface to our own generator. So if the battery is at a certain state, or if I'm dialed in remotely controlling the control panel, I just say, hey, activate the relay, and that triggers the Onan start circuit, and suddenly the generator starts. It's really simple. It's very cool.
We do have a question. Terry asked us to list all the products we use for Kiki by name, and I don't have that information available. I don't really think it's relevant.
Yes, bottled water or not? That's a good question, though.
We do. Her water comes. We have a tin filtration system that goes under our countersink, and again, that's also listed on our RV gear page. And all of her water comes through the filtered water.
It's the same water we drink, and she likes it really, really fresh from the tap. She doesn't like it out of a bowl if it's been sitting there more than 3 minutes. But the one way we get her a lot of extra water is when we give her wet food. We put a lot of extra water in it to keep her hydrated, and she'll just drink all the water to get to the food. And
Cleve and Jeremy asked, have we thought about getting another cat? Probably not. And we've told Kiki that if she finds a cat along the way she wants to invite to live with us, that we might be okay with that. But I've always been a one cat person at a time, and I like only having one cat. And quite honestly, hopefully Kiki has a long life with us. But I am also looking forward to eventually one day being pet free and being able to do more international travel and travel that we can't do with a cat.
Yeah.
So we do have post pet plans.
But we do like to borrow other people's cats, and have, particularly kittens are fun to play with. And
have you ever thought about having a small AC that cools only a small pet-friendly area for those of us that don't have huge batteries?
Even there's not really such a thing as a small AC that is all that much more power efficient than...
Well, there's those little portable ones.
Yeah, I guess, and there's also like the little swamp coolery ones, which only work when you're in dry climates. So you could experiment with it. In drier climates, actually, it's often just getting good airflow makes plenty of difference too. It's having big, just regular fans.
Our theory is if it's too hot to leave to feel like we can leave Kiki behind. And it's too hot for us to even be there ourselves, and it's time to find cooler temperatures.
True.
So Sue asked, how does she handle meeting dogs on a trail? And yeah, we do take Kiki on trails.
She will hike with us on occasion if she's in the mood.
On her choice. And she's usually really good with dogs. We kept her as a kitten. We just exposed her to a lot of dogs. We took her to people's houses and let her acclimate to other cats and other dogs. And
she has one big rule. She has a boundary, and I totally understand it, is don't sniff her butt without asking first. And a lot of dogs don't respect that, and that will upset her, and I can understand that. So
she'll usually just hiss, make it clear, I am the cat, I have my front claws, and I can beat you down. And she has taken down dogs before. We were once at a festival that we had gotten permission to take her to, and there were dogs there. And she was outside. I think she was only about a year old at that point. And there's 3 large dogs that were just free roaming, running around, and they all came up to meet her, and they were friendly. They weren't in attacking mode, and she
trained them.
She trained them. She made it very clear. All 3 of you. I mean, they're like Labrador-sized dogs, and we let her keep her claws because we didn't want her to ever not be able to defend herself if she needed to.
And she always knows that we have her back. So if she gets spooked, she will come to us, and we will pick her up, and she'll have the high ground in our arms.
Yep. Okay. Danielle says, in about 4 years, we will be full-timing. The cats we currently have will be gone by that time, and I've decided to stop owning animals. How can I continue to have animals in my life without owning them? So some ideas. Our first year on the road, we
were that way.
We were that way. I mean, we didn't really have the room for a cat, and but really missed having.
And Cherie was in super withdrawal.
So what we did is we had friends and families across the country, and we told them, hey, if we're in your area and you need a pet sitter, we'll be happy to pull into your driveway. You got driveway surfing, and we'll pet sit. So we did a lot of pet sitting.
Yeah, we traded driveways for pet sitting, and it was a great win-win around.
There are animal shelters around the country that appreciate volunteers.
What's that one that a lot of people do down in Utah, is it? Or
there's one in Utah or in
the Southwest, someplace that is kind of famous for taking in volunteer RVers to be
like on-site volunteer parking.
Yeah.
You can find like maybe rescues and things like that need volunteers. Some of them are more strict on if they take passing through volunteers or not, but you can always call. I heard something. It was all the Pokemon hysteria going on. There was some pet shelters that were reaching out with, hey, while you're doing your Pokemon thing, why don't you stop by and pick up a dog and take it for a walk, because we need help with walking the dogs. So call
Walk
around.
Dogs hunt Pokemon. Sounds great.
Yeah. So if you're in an area for a while, reach out to the local pet shelters and see if you can volunteer and help out. That's a great way. And then pet setting.
What extra things might be needed to be considered for multiple cats? Richard asks this.
Maybe multiple litter boxes and more scratching posts?
It depends on the dynamic between multiple cats. Some multiple cats basically are just one cat that poops 3 times as much or 2 times as much. They don't need extra feeders. They don't need it. They share everything. And we know other people who have different cats in the RV, and they have to have 3 water dishes, 3 food dishes. Usually I mostly can get by with just 1 litter box because that's a lot of space to start dedicating to each cat. But that's basically it. And then you got to change that litter box more often. It's
Nicole thanks us for our insight on the subject. Does Kiki ever slip out of her harness when on a leash? And yes, she does. And we intentionally keep her harness loose enough that she can slip out at any time. It's a safety thing if she got caught, tangled, or something like that. And she can slip out at any time, and she basically only humors us staying in it. So that's just part of that training with her that we did up front. Is like, you wear a harness, cat. This is the way life is.
Yes. And we know, like, if we're walking her and she really plants her feet and she drops her head and she's like, gives us that look, it's like, I'm gonna slip out of this, is I don't want to go that way. We're like, okay,
you're the cat.
You win. You want to go that way. We're going to walk that way, or we'll go pick her up and say, okay, you're going inside then, because you're not cooperating. Yes. You're not going to go for a walk with us tonight.
Right. And sometimes she'll love to go for a walk with us, and then she'll hit a point, and she knows she has to walk back, because I'm not carrying her. And I mentioned she's 18 pounds. Come on. Yeah. And so she'll just say, hey, we are turning back now, because I am tired. I want to be able to get back. And so she'll just make an about face and just start walking the other way back towards the way we came.
This is really amusing when we're going on a loop trail, and we're like 90% of the way back home, And she's like, nope, I'm ready to go home. We're going to go back the other way. And we're like, no, that's the wrong way. You just have to go slightly right around this bend. You'll see your house.
See the bus.
And she's like, nope, we're going back this way. I got to go back home.
Like, sure, you just turned. She'll do about a mile's about her limit. And it's like she turned a 1 mile hike into. She wanted to turn it into 1.9 miles or something.
Turn around and go back the other way. So we pick her up and carry her around the corner. And she's like, oh, there's my house. Oh, okay, this is a shortcut, I guess. And we'll walk straight to it.
Can we see a clear picture of Kiki? You want to wake her up from her nap?
Yes, okay. Yeah. Oh. Your fans want you. Yes.
Don't show that belly.
She's got a cute belly. Look at that face. Oh my gosh. And there's her catnip. Yeah, she's been getting a little stoned over on the couch. Uh-huh.
She is a big cat, and yes, she does need a little more motion sometimes. But you know, she's both big boned and a big breed, and she's in an RV. So getting her enough exercise.
Getting exercise is a tricky thing. It is.
Because cats don't necessarily want to exercise unless they're hunting things. That's why we let her be outside a lot.
Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Okay, disposing of pet waste, is there a restriction? And I don't think there is. I think it's no different than a household disposal. So
yeah.
I think litter is there are no rules.
Yeah, just like I think people just put it in trash bins.
Yeah. Andrew asks, have you done a video on how you keep Zephyr clean and shiny? We got a new paint job last year.
That was the way we got our bus painted. Before that, it was kind of pointless. Now we do need to do a proper waxing and clean. We're due for one.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do a separate video on it because there's not much to do. But
we need to convince the RV geeks to do how to super clean a vintage bus and let them do a video of them cleaning our bus because they're obsessive and
they'll get it clean.
They'll do beautiful work. So you guys, we'll sponsor this. You want to come out and super clean a vintage bus? It'll be your next YouTube hit.
So when we have needed a wax and wash on it, we'll try to coordinate that when we very rarely do month-long stays places, but when we do, we try to see if the campground allows washing and waxing, and then we usually hire it out. It's just I have better things to do with my time than climb
up and climb ladders outside.
I'm happy to pay someone to do it and get a quality job done. How do you deal with fleas?
Fleas. Some parts of the country, not a problem. Some parts we've had to fight fleas. They are really annoying. Kiki is a really good bath taker, so if we're fighting fleas, she might get a bath once a week and flea shampoo. We do little flea drops on her. Yeah,
we do get that's one thing I love about Banfield is because the treatment that works for fleas or the preventative, it kind of varies across the country based upon what the current
what fleas are in that particular area.
So if we're in a flea prone area or she's having a flea thing, we'll just call Banfield. You can usually see us same day or next day and get what they recommend for the local community and use their local knowledge. So I don't pre-buy a lot of it just because like in Florida, fleas have gotten so bad they've gotten resistant to a lot of the brands that are nationwide, and the local vets usually know better. We've tried this Soestra collar that you can get for them that's supposed to last 3 months. We typically find it lasts maybe 1.5 months on her, but it will knock out an infestation. Another trick that we'll do is if we notice that there's an infestation going on is we'll set out little bowls of water with just a little bit of oil, and the fleas tend to just jump right in.
Yeah, a flea pool party and drown.
Yep, and that works really well. Diometrius earth, we'll spread that around in the carpets and the upholstery.
And it's not fun when we have to do the flea fight thing,
we try to avoid
it doesn't happen very often.
Thankfully it doesn't.
I said the word flea and she's like, this is not fun.
Thankfully we've gone well over a year now without any fleas, and she's doing really good with them.
Yes.
But, yeah, definitely is a problem because you are in so many different situations. Ticks are also a problem, so we
have to do tick checks on her
and on each other. So if we know we're going to tick area, then we get a preventative that has tick treatment. We try not to over medicate because I don't want to expose her to too many chemicals. So we just try to treat for what the current local situation is that we're in. Recommendations for a kitty litter that tends to track less. And we look for the low dust ones. We're currently using, I think it's the Arm & Hammer Clump Free or something or another. Mostly. I mean, we switch it up. you find a litter that works really well, you get to your next stop and need to refill and you can't find it. It just happens. So yeah, it just, like PetSmarts and Petland and some of those other ones, they sometimes rank their litters by specialty, and we've tried all sorts of them. Some of the cheap store brand stuff tends to have lots of dust and lots of tracking, so we do try to avoid those, and we try to get something that's a heavy clumping and is specifically marketed for not tracking. The lightweight ones, they tend to track a lot, we found, so we try to
heavy
avoid.
is good.
We try to go with the heavier ones, and it seems to work much better. But you know, sometimes you just got to go with what's around when you need it. Is Kiki sterilized? Yes, definitely.
Yep.
Yes, we definitely recommend spay and neutering your pets unless you're intentionally breeding them for some reason.
Because that could lead to a lot of complications. Unintended pregnancies are bad for no matter who's having them, and you don't want to deal with a cat going into heat and stuff either.
Yeah. So yeah, we had her fixed as soon as she was
At the right age.
at the right age for that. So we just crossed into Canada. Any issues crossing international borders?
We left the cat behind, so
Yeah,
that avoided that issue.
So the both times that we've crossed into Canada recently have been on non-RV travels. We have not yet taken the RV into Canada, so I cannot comment on that. We may do that this summer, but I'm thinking probably not, just because we're running out of time. The
It
summer's
goes
already,
so fast, yes.
and we haven't gotten to New England. We're still in New York. There's so much more to explore. So I don't know that we'll actually get to Canada this summer again. So can't get to that.
In general, we don't hear of many people having issues with cats crossing the border.
Yeah, or in general. I mean, sometimes people have their RVs inspected, especially, but usually not. Have you ever traveled without a towed? And that's your tow behind vehicle. I'm considering starting with that one and traveling on Class C and scooter. And yes, we actually, when we first bought our bus, because we started in travel trailers and then we got the bus, our first 6 months we went towed free.
On purpose, yeah.
Because we wanted to get used to driving a vintage bus before the complication of pulling something.
Yeah, and you do have to put more thought into the certain stops you do and stockpiling groceries and stuff like that. In our case, we didn't have any transportation at all other than the bus. So if you have a scooter, then you're actually good.
Now we have folding electric bikes, which help.
Yeah.
We do use. I like having a towed for. Like when we broke down in the middle of nowhere, again without cell signal. It always happens without cell signal. We had the Mini Cooper to go into town to make calls and arrange for CoachNet to come and save us. I like it if we have an emergency, like Kiki needs to get to a vet or one of us has an emergency, that we don't have to get the bus started up and get it into motion mode. We can just drive off in the Mini Cooper. I like not having to do necessarily all of our shopping while in transit and being able to get to our campground and then go get stocked up.
And having a towed lets us do longer trips too. So we're able to leave the bus behind and go do full day trips or even overnight trips and stuff like that, or go drive across the state, and that would be harder to do without.
Or if one of us wanted to travel independently, or
a little bit of that,
or if a family situation or something required one of us to need to split up for a while, we have two modes of transportation. So
there's a lot of advantages, but it can definitely be done, particularly with a smaller rig, because there's less fuss taking it in places, and if you have something at least motorized like a scooter.
You can always rent vehicles too.
Yes.
Enterprise, on weekends, a lot of them will rent to you for $9.99 a day, which is pretty darn cheap, and they will come pick you up at your campground and drop you off. So that's an option.
Yeah, we have friends who have gone years without a towed, and they just have a car for weekends.
Yeah, they just keep a budget for weekend vehicles that they rent, and then they do
one or two weekends a month. They get a car.
It works really well for them. So we do have an article on the blog. If you go to the little magnifying glass at technomadia.com and just type in to tow or not to tow, we did actually a full analysis of what it was like to live without a towed and some of the strategies that we use for coping with that. And then why we ultimately decided to go with a pull behind, and that might be a future video talk. We've been contemplating doing that one. All right, that is the last question that I see. Yes, this goes so much smoother. Thank you, David, so much for doing this and helping us get through the question so much faster. and not having to scroll through the box and find them all. That just helps so much. If you would like to volunteer in a future video chat, and being a volunteer remote moderator, basically what David and Mara are doing is they're just cutting and pasting the questions into a shared Google document, and I'm able to read them here and check them off.
And not need to scroll up and down, up and down, up and down.
It works so well, and I don't want them to have to be on the hook to do this every month. We have one person who is kind of shadowing and worrying and learning it. If you like to volunteer to do this in the future and be kind of on our distribution list for it, just write us at contact@technomadia.com. We would love to have a couple more assistants. This is a new thing we've been trying, and it's working fabulously. Makes these a lot less stressful for us to do.
Okay.
All right.
We've got wine to refill and something to toast away.
Yes.
Okay.
So
this is delicious wine.
It is. I love this wine when we're at Southwind. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and learning about RVing with cats. I hope it was enjoyable, and we'll see you next month.